Good evening. The emergency response team of the Houston Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated welcomes you all to this exciting webinar, Click Smart, Navigating Cyber Threats Safely. This is a topic that impacts all of us. Cyber threats are not distinctive to an age group, device, social platform, or time of the year. As information technology becomes increasingly integrated within all aspects of our lives, there is increased risk for wide-scale or high-consequence cyber threats that can cause harm in our personal and business lives. Cyberspace is particularly difficult to secure due to the ability of malicious sources to operate from anywhere in the world. The linkages between cyberspace and physical systems, and the difficulty of reducing vulnerabilities and consequences in very complex cyber networks. The emergency response team recognizes that being aware of and knowing how to implement safe cybersecurity best practices is an important aspect of emergency preparedness. And we are fortunate this evening to have two presenters who have proven excellence on the topic of cybersecurity to help us to stay prepared. Before I tell you more about our accomplished presenters and move on with the program, I will now turn to the president of the Houston Alumnae chapter, Karen Duraso, to offer greetings.
Greetings and welcome to this evening's webinar. My name is Karen Durso, and I am the president of the Houston Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. At this time of year, criminals especially target the unsuspecting public, trying to get access to our personal information so that they can either steal our money or even our identity. Tonight, we hope to make you more aware and help you avoid the cyber criminals who prey on all of us. I would like to take this time to thank our emergency response team for bringing such helpful and important information to our community, and also our experts in the cybersecurity world who have given so selfishly of their time to share this information with us tonight. Please enjoy the webinar and ask lots of questions. We all want to guard our assets from the likes of this type of criminal. Now I will turn it back over to Ms. Angela Jones. Angela?
Thank you, Karen. Now I am pleased to introduce our two presenters this evening. First, I would like to introduce Mr. Gordon Groschi. Mr. Groschi has over 25 years of experience in information, cybersecurity, and technology management within the healthcare industry. His analytical capabilities and leadership skills have consistently enabled him to excel in managing complex functions and achieving optimal results. He joined Texas Children's Hospital in 2006 as a project manager and application architect. Over the years, he has expanded his impact serving as Senior Enterprise Architect, Manager, Assistant Director, Director, and currently serves as the Chief Information Security Officer and Director of Healthcare Technology Management. His leadership in the area of cybersecurity is evidenced through his development of a 3-year cybersecurity governance and technology improvement program, establishment of a central cybersecurity risk repository, and his establishment of a formal management report informing the board of directors of current cybersecurity risk. Our next presenter is Ms. Veena Nagarajan. Ms. Nagarajan is an experienced information technology and cybersecurity leader as well. She has a proven track record of successfully implementing cybersecurity program initiatives. She began her tenure at Texas Children's Hospital in 2017 as an enterprise architect specializing in governance, risk, and compliance domain. Over the years, she has progressively expanded her responsibilities, serving as an information security manager, and currently holds the position of Assistant Director for Governance, Risk, and Compliance. Ms. Nagarajan has expertise in the areas of identity and access management, governance, risk and compliance, information security risk and control, security operations, and vulnerability management. You can tell by these brief biographical information about our presenters that we are certainly privileged to hear from them this evening. I will now turn it over to Gordon, who will begin the presentation.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much for the kind and warm introduction. We are both delighted to be here tonight to share with you a little bit about navigating cyber threats safely. As Angela and the president already shared, cybersecurity is a very big topic. Digital services are pervasive throughout our lives. And so it is important for us that we understand how to detect those threats, where they're coming from, and then also how to protect ourselves. Next slide. So throughout this presentation, we will talk a little bit about the cyber threat landscape, so you get an understanding about, where are these threats coming from and what kind of impact do they have. We'll share with you some common cyber threat scenarios, so things that are happening frequently that you should be aware of. And then we will talk about how you can protect yourselves, what are good cyber hygiene practices that you can apply in your professional and your personal lives to protect yourself and the organizations that you work for. And then we'll close out, as it was mentioned earlier, with a Q&A session. Let's talk about the cyber threat landscape. As you can see here on the screen, there are a lot of numbers, and I will walk through some of them that are most important to you. First of all, in 2023, online fraud tied to cybercrime has cost Americans $12.5 billion. We need to think about this, right? So the damage from cybercrime in 2023 was $12.5 billion, and this is just fraud. Over 5.3 billion personal data records were breached in April 2024, which is a staggering increase of 122,000% in comparison to the previous year. And the rise of data breaches continues to go up, with an average of $4.8 million for businesses that are impacted by these types of attacks. And so when you think about all these numbers, you can understand that most likely your data has already been breached. Your personal information, like your name, your address, your phone number, your social security number, your banking information, all of that most likely in one way or another over the years has been breached and is available for threat actors in what is called the dark web, which is a unique area of the internet, to use, to resell, and to ultimately use to social engineer or attack you as a person. So what type of attackers are we identifying out there? So let's start off with insider threats. So insider attacks are basically disgruntled employees or frustrated, members of organizations that are basically committing cyber crimes while they're still employed by these organizations. And another form of this is tied to contractors and third parties. There was a recent example in the last 12 months when a contractor of a hospital in the Southeast, he was disgruntled. The contractor was disgruntled about the monetary funds that he received for his services. And so as a result, he then turned around and actually stole patient care information and sold it off in the dark web. So that's a great example of an insider threat, where basically an insider that has access to sensitive information or financial information basically turns around and commits cyber crimes for personal gain. Then we think about hackers. Hackers is a very common term. I'm sure many of you have probably read about that in online news or other news media like the TV. You may have heard about it. Hackers are basically professional cyber criminals. These are people that are paid. They're basically hacking businesses and government organizations and individuals for personal financial gain. These hackers are often organized in groups where they basically operate together to accomplish common goals. And when we think about these hacking, these threat actor groups or these hacker groups, you have some of these are highly sophisticated. They have bonus programs, they have life insurance and health insurance, they have even pension plans. They operate often like businesses and not necessarily like what you see in the movies where there is a little, like a teenager sitting in a dark room in somebody's, in some storage room or something. So often these hackers are really professional. They do this for a living. It's like a business, and that's how they look at it. Then we also have hacktivists. So hacktivists are a little bit different. These hackers are basically trying to damage organization and government organizations, but not for financial gain, but because they want to make a social statement, they have a cause that they pursue, and they basically do this not to gain money, but they rather try to basically raise awareness of some sort of a social cause that they're pursuing. So if you think about it, many of those data leaks that happened in the mid 2010s through WikiLeaks, that's a good example of hacktivism, right? So these hacktivists, they stole those confidential information and then leaked them, right? Because they were trying to damage the United States and its reputation. And then last, but certainly not least, we talk about nation states. And so hackers that are tied to nation state actors are basically, those are government employees that hack basically other governments and businesses on behalf of the government, to obtain confidential information, secret recipes for some sort of pharmaceutical breakthrough, etc. And these nation state actors, they are highly trained, they're well paid, they go to the office every day like regular employees, right? And all they're doing is basically pursuing objectives, that their government agencies are giving them, right, to pursue. When we think about nation state actors, they most often come from China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, and Ukraine. So those are the most common, I would say, nation state actors. Now, what you're also going to see is often that these nation state threat actors, also those hackers actually often then have a side job where they're also working for personal financial gain with other hackers and basically move into that hacker group. So there is somewhat a fluidity between a nation state hacker and a regular hacker. Next slide. So let's kind of look at two examples of data breaches or cybersecurity incidents that occurred this year. You probably saw in the news earlier this year, AT&T reported that 51 million of their customers' data was impacted, and that data from over 109 million US customers' accounts were illegally downloaded because of a breach in the network. So a threat actor was basically able to penetrate their security defenses and gain access to the AT&T network, where they were then able to steal that data. And that data that they stole contained, name, street address, phone number, it included also call information, right? Like, who was calling whom from a specific number, or text messages, that were sent. Now, if you had a AT&T cell phone, you probably got an email from AT&T notifying you that your data was breached. It was a large number of those AT&T cell phone customers that were impacted by this. A second example is the breach that occurred at the National Public Data Governance Agency. And this one is, particularly staggering. A hacker gained access to this government agency and exposed about 2.9 billion records of data.